Coming up on this special summer holiday edition of ACMi News, we salute the Patriots of Arlington, past and present. First, we know how the Minutemen made out in April of 1775, but what were the Brits thinking? We get reaction tonight from the Redcoats as Arlington's Patriots Day weekend in April is now one for the history books. A brave 19-year-old American in uniform leaves to fight for his country and never returns. Nearly 70 years later, he's coming home to loved ones in Arlington. And we talked to the man who buried his friend so long ago. Stage and screen actor Ed Asner came to the Regent Theater recently to play God. But did you know before playing a cantankerous deity on stage, he donned a uniform and proudly served his country? Tonight, an exclusive one-on-one interview with a Hollywood legend. And we have the story of two modern-day Arlington Patriots who have a new and bigger place now to call home. And this expansion will clearly help them in their tireless efforts to stamp out hunger while contributing to environmental sustainability.
From McLennan Park to Spy Pond, from Poets Corner to the Mystic River, we have Arlington covered. We're your neighbors, a friend you can turn to. This is ACMi News.
Hello, I'm Carla Dorado.
And I'm James Milan. In this special July holiday newscast, we salute the Patriots in and out of uniform who help all of us live better lives for our loved ones and our communities. We'll start with our rich and storied past. In April, the British once again retreated from Lexington and Concord after failing to seize the Castle of Arms and being surprisingly outgunned by the Colonials. But the Redcoats had some trouble on their way to Boston. An unexpected firefight between the Minutemen and the British, of course, took place right here in Arlington. And we got the perspective from those brave men in red coats who fought for King George III.
Today we're here to do a reenactment of the battle that happened here on April 19th, 1775, where as the British were retreating from Lexington on their way back to Boston, they were met heavy resistance from all the neighboring militias who are able to get here finally, because the alarm was sounded later that night. And so we have Danvers here and a bunch of other companies made it here to Jason Russell's yard, and this is where the big engagement occurred with the retreating regular troops. And 7 Danvers men died here, and a bunch of others, another 7 died inside the house, along with Jason Russell being bayoneted on his front steps. So this is actually one of the bloodiest part of the whole battle was here.
3 cheers for His Majesty King George III! Hip hip! Huzzah! 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 Take care to disperse! Quick! March!
And my wife is Jacqueline Moore, and she is British, and though she's lived in the States for about 50 years.
If I can be so bold, who are you rooting for today?
I'm rooting for the Brits, though I have a feeling that they're just not going to make it. And I do have 2 flags at home, one British flag and one American flag, because I am a citizen now, and I was going to bring one of the flags today, but I just couldn't make up my mind which one, so left them both at home.
It's very interesting. You get to see, everyone knows the history coming through school and learning and hearing all the Yankee Doodle-ish things that we've been taught through the years. Joining the British side, you get to see a whole different aspect and a whole different perspective of what actually happened here. You know, that these guys weren't just a bunch of rogues that were sent over. They were the state police at the time, and they were here to enforce the law. And the townspeople didn't really like that, so they thought that they didn't need anyone to tell them what to do. They've been functioning governments here for over 100 years, and we were just in the way.
Oh, it's enjoyable to see this, bring the history back to life here and watch it, and it's a lot of fun. They all like it.
Well, this is the beginning of the founding of our country. Of course, this is where it all started. It's right here on Massachusetts Ave in Concord, Lexington, and Arlington, or Monotony at the time.
The Patriots of New England did it again. Not Brady's Pats, these Patriots. ACMi gave you a front row seat as we covered the parade live on Sunday, April 19th. It was a beautiful day as we celebrated the rich history of Arlington and marked the beginning of the American Revolution. The parade down Mass Avenue included Menotomy Minutemen, the New Hampshire Governor's Horse Guard, and the Woodland String Band, all the way from Philadelphia. The Arlington Patriots Day Parade Committee hosted this year's celebration.
The Arlington Parade itself is steeped in rich history all its own. It's undergone several changes as the years went by, from the end of the 19th century all the way to modern times. And tonight, we take a look at the parade's humble beginnings and what it has done to bring this community together.
Patriots Day traces its origins back to 1894, replacing an early Massachusetts holiday called Fasting Day, days to mark the Sabbath and adhere to strict religious rules. But early celebrations began taking over as we mark the bravery of the colonists' eventual defeat over King George III. Fun activities included baseball games and competitive matchups. Fast forward to 1925, the sesquicentennial of Paul Revere's ride. The concept eventually changed to celebrating our Revolutionary War history, but the big celebrations were in Lexington, Concord, with more modest celebrating in Arlington. That would change in 1930 when Arlington held a massive celebration, not only celebrating Paul Revere's famous ride, but also the 300th anniversary of the establishment of the Massachusetts Bay Colony. The parade that year began at Academy Street to Pleasant Street and into the old burying ground. It lasted about 15 minutes. In 1950, the 175th anniversary of April 19, 1775 shot heard round the world, a massive parade was held in Arlington. 25 years later, in 1975, just before our bicentennial, Arlington's parade was considered by many to be among the largest of all parades nationwide. What is known is that parade, held on Monday, April 21st, was estimated to have attracted 200,000 people who lined Mass Ave to cheer on the red, white, and blue. Back then, there were 15,000 marchers and more than 200 bands. That parade lasted 3 hours. As the years progressed, less people began attending the parade for many reasons, one of which is that fewer businesses gave employees a paid day off. And of course, the Boston Marathon began claiming the top spot of celebratory events in this all-too-American New England holiday. But times have changed. Now the parade is held on a Sunday, so it doesn't compete with Marathon Monday. In colonial times, it would have been unimaginable to hold a parade on the Lord's Day. But today, in the 21st century, it is a chance now to come together as one people, united, to celebrate the sacrifices that those patriots, known and unknown, made so long ago. The Arlington Parade now gives us a chance to live our lives in freedom with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
It's a parade that brings our community together and helps all of us appreciate the fact that we live in an area where our fight for independence began.
This is a story about an American hero who gave the last full measure of devotion so that we can celebrate our independence. After nearly 70 years of uncertainty, a Korean War veteran has finally come home to loved ones in Arlington. He's given full military honors for his valor in America's so-called forgotten war, a conflict that, for better or worse, helped shape the modern world. And now, his fellow former POW, who actually buried him in North Korea, shares his heartfelt story with ACMi's Brenda Mahoney.
George is home. He's home. That's what counts.
Present arms!
It's been called the Forgotten War, but people are remembering Sergeant George Chapani, a 19-year-old Korean War POW. His remains recently identified and brought to family in Arlington.
Ready, step.
For 90-year-old Cliff Benoit, the memories of Chapani forever with him. He's the one who buried him after he died as a fellow prisoner of war 68 years ago.
We dug a grave on the side of a hill in some farmer's lot. It was winter, and winters was sometimes 20 below. We covered him with stones, covered his body with a tarp, couldn't do anything more. And then the guards walked us back to our camp.
Benoit survived over 2 more years in the camp. At the end of the war, both being from Boston, he visited Chapani's family, descendants of whom made a recent DNA connection to Chapani buried as one of the unknowns at the National Memorial Cemetery in Hawaii, known as the Punch Bowl. Sergeant Shapani is the second Korean War POW to have his remains come through town in 3 years. He isn't from Arlington, but still townfolk coming out to show that they will not forget the service to his country.
I think it's important to honor everybody who served our country, served in a military, and did their best to protect our freedoms.
I was in the Army in the Korean conflict with 3 of my brothers. He deserves to have a special day here. You know, how they find these bodies and identify them is just fantastic. With our government following through, they don't forget you.
The story coming full circle for the Shapanis and Benoits when both families chose Keith's funeral home, Benoit's wife having died in April.
Lo and behold, they're going to be at Keith's where my mom was, and they mentioned my dad, and they were surprised he was still alive.
Did you know of this story before?
No, I didn't. He never talked about any of this stuff. I guess they just didn't. You can't imagine going through them yourself.
But now, Cliff Benoit, with Shapani's childhood friend, Louis Rosetta, standing by his side, he's able to share the things he never forgot.
A hell of a nice guy.
Judge was the best.
Adding, he may have lost a friend all those years ago, but he's gained a new one. Brenda Mahoney, ACMi News.
The funeral took place 2 weeks ago. According to the Defense POW Accounting Agency, more than 7,500 U.S. military personnel who fought in the Korean War are still unaccounted for nearly 70 years later.
Now, on to a story that enhances the education of our children. You know the old saying, I'm going to run off and join the circus? Well, no need for kids to do that at one Arlington school, because the circus has come to them. ACMi's Brenda Mahoney got in on the act and reveals the circus secrets.
Lay it on the stick, lay it on the stick.
Spinning a plate on a stick may seem like something you do just for kicks, but these Stratton Elementary School students are learning it's more than just a trick.
Every single student was trying really hard, laughing, having fun, and feeling this sense of accomplishment.
Well, it's really inclusive. It's not only like one kid out of 10 can do circus. It's 10 out of 10.
It's exactly why these performers from Circus Smirkus are taking up residency at the school for the week.
Try a new way.
Try a new way.
Yeah.
To turn each and every student into an achiever.
Oftentimes, teachers come up to us afterwards and they're very surprised to see students really excelling in circus in a way that they don't often see them, and it gives them kind of a new confidence.
The Parent Teachers Organization funded the performance art troupe to provide a fun way to enhance students' learning, physically, mentally, and creatively.
It's about art, it's about physical expression, not just juggling or balancing plates on sticks. They're doing that and they're loving it, but it's a way for them to explore a lot of different avenues of creativity.
Physical education teacher Patricia Mangata sees the kids making that mind-body connection that in turn is inspiring her.
I see them learning new skills, something that I necessarily don't know how to teach them in the gym, and this is something that as I'm learning, maybe I could teach in future years as well.
The circus is revealing its secrets to Stratton Elementary School. They're things like try again or try another way. The biggest secret? They don't just apply to circus skills.
The biggest secret is that the circus secrets aren't only for circus. You can use them to learn how to play an instrument. They can help you with math. They can help you with science. They can help you with sports. Anything that you want to learn, you can use the circus secrets.
Well, I think it makes it more fun. Like, we're going to tell you a secret about the circus. Circus is a little bit mysterious and fun, so it's fun to be on the inside of it, you know?
This seemingly extracurricular activity balancing perfectly with the social-emotional curriculum schools like Stratton Elementary are focusing on now. The results of which?
Yeah, I did it.
Are no act.
How does that make you feel that you did it?
It makes me feel really proud of myself.
Brenda Mahoney, ACMi News.
Coming up as ACMi News continues, a pair of Arlington Patriots who are dedicated to their fellow residents both in Arlington and beyond. Foodlink is doing so well, it's going to need a bigger facility, and they've got one.
And we know him as Lou Grant and scores of movie characters. ACMi News talks to actor Ed Asner, who paid us a visit a few days ago. He also served in the Army. A little bit of Hollywood trivia for you. That and more when we come back.
If you see news happening in your area and you have a smartphone, you can see it, shoot it, send it. Make sure to hold your phone horizontally and send us your video. Or share your video with us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just look for ACMi News.
Hi, Mom, heading out. Later, Gator. Drive safe. I will. And don't forget to call me when you get there. I know. And don't forget to put your phone away. Already did. And you drive safe too, mister.
Here's a unique opportunity ACMi News had just a few days ago. Legendary actor Ed Asner came to the Regent Theater as the Almighty God in a play called God Help Us.
After serving in the U.S. Army Signal Corps in the early 50s, Ed Asner moved to New York to pursue an acting career, and as we all know, the rest is history. With the help of theater owner Leland Stein, we were able to grab a quick interview with Mr. Asner before rehearsal.
And we learned something that day. There is indeed only one Ed Asner.
Welcome to the circus, where the elephants and the donkeys are flinging crap all over my creation.
In this contentious age of political nonsense, dribble, and blathering, only God can bring America together. God Help Us is a play stage about a cantankerous deity who's none too pleased with what me mortals have done to his creation through political bickering. It's a play that strikes a delicate balance between an arrogant conservative and a haughty liberal.
Well, it presents a couple who were lovers at one time, but evidently their socio-political feelings and thoughts were too much for them to stay together. God has brought them together again, trying to create a compromise, and he is a comedic God. So he fumbles constantly.
At age 89, Ed Asner has done it all. He starred as Carl Fredricksen in Pixar's Oscar-winning Best Picture, Up, Santa Claus, and the Christmas smash, Elf. The 8-time Emmy Award recipient is perhaps best known for his comedic, gruff, and soft-hearted Lou Grant. And he says throughout his life, acting has always kept him young.
It's the greatest activator in the world, showbiz, and I thrive on it. It makes me alive. I feel alive, and it's not an act of desperation of hanging on before I slip into oblivion. I feel better acting.
Asner says this play speaks to audiences, red, blue, and anywhere in between, with one defining message: we must listen to each other so that we can live and laugh together.
Look who just got elected. The people spoke. 3 million more voted for Hillary.
Trump won in the Electoral College.
The Electrical College? Is that one of those online schools?
When I hear people laugh, I feel better. Granted, I've helped generate the laughter, but I know they're happy.
And that makes
and if they don't laugh, they're making me angry.
If you missed the play this go-around, Ed Asner will be coming to the Regent Theater for a one-man show this November.
I may need to reboot.
Oh, please don't do that. Just give us a chance.
Can't you see we're trying, God?
Well, it's been trying for me, too. To all of you out there in the darkness, come into the light, because it's all up to you. I gave you free will, so go forth and get it together. Or if you don't, it's the end.
Asner said that when in Arlington, he watches ACMi. That way, he says, he can continue to be, quote, reasonably intelligent.
Foodlink, the community organization that rescues fresh food and alleviates hunger for so many area residents, broke ground earlier this year at its new location on Summer Street. Foodlink's motto is rescue food, nourish our community. It began with a noble idea and has since blossomed into a major player in helping others.
For many people attending this official groundbreaking ceremony, this was their first chance to see Foodlink's new home, the former site of the Napa Auto Parts store on Summer Street. Julie Kremer and Deanne DuPont co-founded Foodlink in 2012, collecting fresh fruit, vegetables, meat, dairy goods, and bread, and working out of their cars and homes to try to feed thousands of area residents who are food insecure. This 4,000 square foot facility is the culmination of a positive vision that was born 7 years ago.
What started as two women collecting bread from one Panera in 2012 has transformed into where we are today. 200 volunteers, 20 food donors, 32 recipient agencies, serving 18,000 people in 12 communities. With that food, our recipients are able to create 400,000 meals a year.
Volunteers at Foodlink say when all of us waste food, we waste valuable resources as well.
Lots of resources, including the energy, the labor, the water used to grow, transport, store, and display that food that's going to be thrown away. Food waste is often disposed of in landfills or burned for energy. Foodlink marries the two problems of excess food going to waste and people who don't have enough to eat with one solution: getting that good nutritious food, fruits, vegetables, dairy, meat, and bread to the people who need it.
Purchasing this building was made possible by a $327,000 award from Arlington's Community Development Block Grant. Town leaders say these funds are very hard to come by, that it's not an easy sell, that Arlington receives far more applications for grants than it has money to hand out. Town manager Adam Chaplain says that's why Arlington has invested so heavily into Foodlink, because this organization and its founding members have had such a positive impact on some of the most vulnerable residents of Arlington and the surrounding community.
The leadership of Foodlink and the tremendous volunteer base is just blow you away impressive. To take it from, was it your garage, Deanne, or Julie's garage, or both of your garages? To take it from someone's garage to here in less than a decade's time, that doesn't happen by accident. That happens with tremendous leadership, tremendous vision, and commitment to achieving a goal. And that's why we're standing here today. So this is a team, really just a tremendous team that has brought us here today.
Currently, Foodlink occupies 3 locations, and over the next year, the group will be consolidating its operations, offices, and storage, all under this roof. DuPont says that gives Foodlink the ability, at a minimum, to quadruple its food capacity and provide enough fresh food for 1.6 million meals annually. For Arlington Public News, I'm Jeff Barnes.
Kramer and DuPont plan on completely moving into their new home in the next few weeks, and there's no doubt they are true modern-day patriots. That'll do it for us here in Studio A. Thanks so much for joining us for this special summer holiday edition of ACMi News. I'm Carla Dorado.
And I'm James Milan. From all of us here at ACMi, have a happy and safe holiday week, and we'll see you next week.
You can always check out our latest segments and newscasts on the web at acmi.tv/news. And don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at ACMi News. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. You'll find us at youtube.com/ACMi News. If you have any news tips for us or wish to become a citizen journalist, we'd love to hear from you. Email us at news@acmi.tv or stop by ACMI Studio A at 85 Park Avenue.